So we've been working on a project, and we're finally to the point where we can let you guys in on it. But before we get that, we need to talk about wheels and brakes. If you want to put different wheels on your car, that's pretty easy. There's a lot of websites and manufacturers that make a lot of different wheels for your car. Where it gets interesting is if you start looking at doing brake upgrades. So like the typical example would be putting STI Brembos on your WRX. It's a much bigger caliper than any WRX has ever come with. And so wheel fitment is vastly different for a Brembo 4-piston caliper than the stock caliper. But you can use a 2004 STI as a guide because, up until recently, WRX has had a 5x100 bolt pattern, and so did the 04 WRX. Where it gets a little bit interesting is like, Anki makes a 17x8 that's designed to fit the 04 STI. But when you want to put a wheel on a GR WRX like we ran into with our race car, the fitment is much different for the GR platform versus the GD platform. The other thing when you're talking about wheels and brakes, certainly you have to have a big enough wheel to clear the rotor and the caliper. That's kind of the easy part. Offset of the wheel, so basically how far off the center line the wheel bolts up to the knuckle and the hub, kind of can point you in the right direction as far as whether or not the wheel is going to clear brake or not. But really what it comes down to is the shape of the spokes of the wheel itself and on the inside. So on our race car, we wanted to run RPF 1s, but in a 17x9. Now you'd figure, or you might figure, well, if the 17x8 clears, so would the 17x9. Turns out, not even close. What it has to do with is the shape of the spokes. So the 17x9 wheel in the RPF 1 is not designed for an 04 STI or whatnot. It's really more designed for an application for a rear wheel. And it turns out this wheel, the 17x9 RPF 1, does not clear either the 4-pots or the Super Brembos. The barrel comes out too fast and actually hits the bottom of the 4-pot caliper, and then the Brembo hits the spokes very early. So for our race car, what we ended up having to do is actually make 15mm spacers just to get this wheel to clear our brakes. And when you talk about going even bigger than that, like Scotty here has gone to a Brembo 6-piston caliper that is enormous. It's a 355mm rotor and a 6-piston caliper. You're literally on a scavenger hunt to try and find a wheel that's going to clear. And unless you stumble across some wheel that will actually bolt up and fit the car correctly and the caliper, you're kind of left with finding whatever combination of spacers and whatnot you can just to get the thing to work. And that's just the way that it is, because wheel manufacturers really don't consider big calipers when they're designing wheel. They design them around OE applications. So we were quite surprised when a wheel manufacturer walked in our door and asked us, well, what would the perfect super wheel be for you? Because that just doesn't happen. So there's a wheel manufacturer called 7K Wheels in Denver that came in, and when they asked us about an ideal wheel, we actually pointed to a brake caliper and said, well, something that clears this, that's what we want. Something that we could bolt onto our race car and not have to deal with a gigantic spacer. And they, believe it or not, said sure. So we actually have been working on this for a number of months, probably 5 or 6 months at this point. Went through a lot of designs and revisions, and came at a wheel from a standpoint of caliper clearance and strength. And certainly we're trying to make it look good too, but also work. Take any kind of track use, whatever you can throw at it, and not only will it fit, but it'll stand up to that abuse and work flawlessly. So we're finally to the point where I can show you a prototype wheel. So here it is. All right, so here it is. So this is the prototype wheel. The first of 2 designs. The second one, we're not to the point where I can show it to you yet. But so this is it. It's a classic 6-spoke design, and Subaru fans will probably no doubt guess the inspiration for this wheel. It is a forged flow-formed barrel wheel. So what that allows us to do is keep weight down and makes the wheel very, very strong. At initial outset, we're going to have 2 different sizes. A 17x9 that's designed to fit WRX or an STI with either the StopTech 328mm brake kit or the Brembo 4-piston Brembo kit from an STI. And then this is an 18x9.5. This wheel is specifically designed to fit on an STI and clear the Brembo 6-piston calipers with a 355 millimeter rotor. We kind of worked with SevenK on the overall design and the requirements for the wheel, and then they kind of went in and did their own touches with the CNC machine lip. The other cool thing that kind of function following form that came out of it was that because we wanted the caliper clearance, the spokes come out to give you that caliper clearance, but in doing so you've got kind of a nice dished look to the wheel too. So we're really happy with it. Can't wait to see it actually on cars. But first, before we get to that point, we need to see how it fits on the Brembo 6-piston. So let's take a look at that. Alright, so here we go. So not only does this wheel clear 6 pistons, but very handily so. I mean, there's probably, I can easily get a finger in between the caliper and the spokes. So if you wanted to go even with a bigger caliper still than the 6-piston, there is literally tons of room. So this wheel is designed to look good. We love the look of the wheel, but it's also designed to function and do pretty much anything you'd want to do with this wheel. So we're pretty proud of it. We're pretty excited about it. Again, this is the first prototype. There's actually another design that we're working on too. So we'll give you more information about that when it becomes available. But for now, just stay tuned, and once all of our testing is done and we have some more information, we'll come back and hopefully show you a lot of footage of this wheel at work. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Flatirons tuning tech tips.